Well, good afternoon. I want to welcome you to another episode of the Fireplace Show. And what's the Fireplace Show? Well, that's our broadcast that's sponsored by the CVC Success Group. And what's our purpose in doing this? To present to the consumers of America and across the world things about their fireplaces, about their chimneys, things they may not be aware of. And today's subject matter is why your chimney is not the place to have a fire. You see, and I really came up with this because I review a lot of Facebook forums that consumers are on. And many times I hear people saying, "Hey, just burn out the chimney. Just do this. Just do that. Put this in the fireplace." Well, here's the problem. Creosote is a natural byproduct of burning wood. And the creosote that's produced by the fire goes up into the chimney, and as the smoke and the gases cool, they condense on the walls. And what this gives us is what we call creosote. And creosote is a very, very combustible material. Now, what can happen from this? Many different things. We can actually have fire communicated to the structure because many times the chimney itself will radiate heat through it and it can ignite nearby combustibles. So I want to share with consumers today a little bit about chimneys and why this isn't a good idea. Now, I'm going to reach down here and I'm going to pick up something. And this is called a flue tile, a flue lining. And this is what the majority of chimneys in America are lined with when they are built. Now, there's other lining methods out there, but that's the predominant material that we're going to find that line chimneys across America. Now, before I go in this, let me give you a little background because I know a good bit about this. And this is a technical journal that was produced by the Chimney Safety Institute of America in the early 1990s. And this was a resource. It was called a white paper. But we actually did a lot of research in order to come up with this of flue tiles, flue lining, why it's in the chimney, and what it does, and how it is damaged. And that's what I want to go over with you today. So I'm going to share a lot of that I've learned in assembling that technical journal that's pretty well recognized in many parts of the industry. People recognize this not only in the chimney sweep world, but also in the world of forensic engineering, fire investigation, and other things. So let's go in and let's talk a little bit about chimneys today. And I want to share a couple things with you about so you can have a better understanding of chimneys and what's happening with chimneys and what goes on. So when you look at it, the photo that I've got up in front of you, let me get to the beginning of my presentation of what we're doing here. But this is what is inside of your masonry chimney. And you can see in the center of the chimney, what we have the flue liner, also called the terracotta clay liner and other names for it. And between each of those joints, what do we have? We have mortar. It's supposed to be a special mortar in between each of those joints. Now, around the clay tile, what we're supposed to have is an airspace. And then we have the brick that the chimney itself is built out of. So what this is showing you a cutaway of what your chimney should look like. And the chimney crown, that's the top part of the chimney where it terminates off. And that's what protects the chimney from the elements and the weather. Now, I want to share this photo with you because this is a very, very unique photo. This is a building in Richmond, Indiana. And what happened with this building was the veneer brick fell off the building. And what this did, this exposed the terracotta clay flue tiles inside of the chimney. It also exposed what we call the smoke chamber. It exposed where the inner hearth was. And you can kind of see that there's gaps in between those flue tiles. And see, that's often what's going to happen when a chimney sweep comes and does an inspection of your home. They're going to often find that there's mortar missing between those flue tile joints. And what can happen if the mortar is missing, then we can have a leakage of air into the terracotta clay tiles, into the inner part of the flue system, or we can have the gases can leak through and we can have creosote that can build up on the outside of the clay tiles and on that brick. Well, the reason the clay tiles are installed in the chimney is to protect that fragile brick from the corrosive attack of those combustion products and the condensation that occurs on whenever the creosote condenses in the chimney. This is a very acidic substance. And brick itself and mortar, what they are alkaline materials. And so by being alkaline, they're going to be attacked by those acids as it goes through. So give you a little more, what you're looking at here is different types of flue tiles in a chimney and the different ways that they meet together and where we have mortar in between them. But the problem is many times we have two conditions that are attacking the chimney. Number one, we can have a problem of water entry that will soften and deteriorate those joints and completely wash them free. And where there is no mortar between the flue tiles. And often when someone does a video inspection of the interior of the chimney, they're going to find that the mortar is completely missing in between those flue tile joints. Again, that is an open gap then, because that mortar actually acts as the gasketing material to stop the air from passing through and also from the combustion gases passing through the system. So often, if we inspect the chimney, this is what we see looking down. We're going to find where flue tile joints are missing mortar, and we're also going to find the issue of cracked tiles. Now, what causes cracked tiles? Well, I want to share that with you in today's episode of what causes clay tiles to crack. And what causes this to crack is it is actually from a fracturing of the materials. Because what happens is whenever the flue tile is heated up very rapidly, there's a temperature differential between the inside and the outside of the clay tiles. Let me grab my clay tile here and raise it back up. So what's happening is on the inside of this clay tile, this area right inside of here, this is where the smoke and gases are passing through. Now, if this were to ignite suddenly, the temperature is going to give a very rapid rise in temperature. Now, this is a dense material that insulates very well. So if this inside is being heated up very rapidly, what's happening is we're causing a stress between the inside and the outside of the clay tile. In scientific terms, we call this compressive stress on the inside, and the stress on the outside is called tensile stress or tension. Now, as the inside is heated up, what's happening is it is expanding, and it's expanding faster than the outside of the clay tile can keep up with. So what happens here, whenever we suddenly have ignition and combustion, the temperature rapidly rises on the interior of that flue lining, and that causes a fracturing to occur that comes through from the outside. In other words, the crack's going to start on the outside of the material, and then it's going to travel to the inside of the material. And what this is going to render this clay tile is now damaged where it can no longer do its intended function. Now I want to share something with you because for years we've done demonstrations of chimney fires. So what we do in a chimney fire demonstration is we take a clay tile, just what I showed you. They come in either 12-inch lengths or 24-inch lengths, depending on where you're located at. So all we do is we put a couple sheets of newspaper inside of the clay tile and we set it on fire. And what this does is creates enough temperature rise in a very rapid manner to cause damage to that clay lining material. So in order to show you this properly, what I want to do is I want to share with you a video. Now the video I'm going to share with you was actually done at the Chimney Safety Institute of America at their chimney sweep school in Indianapolis, Indiana. So what you're seeing here is this was filmed on April of 2016, and this is a demonstration of thermal shock. So what we've done, we have put some newspaper inside of the clay tile. And what we're going to see in just a minute, you see the clay tile is sitting up on some bricks to allow air under it. So I'm going to start the video playing, and you're going to see one of the people there is going to light this fire. And watch what happens next as this fire lights
so
up.
the inside's growing, the outside's trying to hold it back, and it simply loses the battle, and then it expands. Once it's expanded, a lot of people put a business there, whatever the case is, and once it cools, it'll contract again, and can't pull the business part out. Yeah, I think we do. All right.
So as you can see, we've got the paper inside of the terracotta clay tile. And you can see that the gentleman in the photo is getting ready to light the paper. So let's watch and let's see how long it takes for this damage to occur. And what is the damage going to look like? Do you think it's just going to be a small crack or what? So let's play the rest of the video, and I think this will really give you an idea of what happens if you decide that your chimney is a good place for you to have a fire. Now, what you're looking at now is you're seeing that the smoke is starting to come off from the paper being burnt inside of the clay flue line.
Probably carcinogenic. It's a safety paper burner. Don't worry about your lungs.
Okay, so what you're looking at now, you can see that the fire is firmly engulfed. Remember, the only fuel that we're using is a couple of balled up pieces of paper is all that we've used inside of this clay flue lining. So as you can see, that's a pretty dramatic demonstration of what happens when there is a chimney fire inside of a clay tile. What you saw there was what's called thermal shock. And what caused this thermal shock was the rapid rise in temperatures on the inside of the clay tile, which rose up much more rapidly, and it didn't transfer through to the outside. So what happened once we have a temperature differential in that clay tile where the inside is approximately 450 degrees hotter than the outside of the clay tile, that's when we have a fracture occur. And the fracture runs from the outside of the clay tile to the inside of the clay tile. So this is why you don't want to have a fire in your chimney. Your chimney is not intended as a combustion chamber. You've got to have the mortar between the clay tiles. And these are the reasons why the National Fire Protection Association recommends that you have an annual inspection of your chimney and venting systems. And in today's world, what that means is many people are going to come out, they're going to do a visual assessment of everything, but then they're going to take a special camera that is actually devised to go inside of the clay tile, the clay lining system, and they're going to inspect this clay tile from top to bottom and be able to transfer these photos into a digital format where they can share with you. But the end result here is, or the end of my thoughts today are, a chimney is not a place for combustion to occur. The chimney is not a combustion chamber. Lighting your chimney on fire as a method of cleaning it is not a good system to use. So keep this in mind. We hope this has been helpful to you in understanding if a chimney service company should come to your home and say that there's been damage from a chimney fire or that the mortar between your clay tile joints is no longer good. Hopefully this will help you to understand what's going on. My name's Jerry Eisenhower. Our company is CBC Success Group, and we produce the Fireplace Show in order to share the knowledge that consumers need in order to, to enjoy their fireplaces, their heating appliances safely and efficiently. Let us know if we can help you in any way. Reach out to us if you have a question. You can see my email address is right there on the screen. If you have a question, be glad to answer it for you. And stay tuned. Listen in for future episodes of The Fireplace Show as we share knowledge with the consumers across America on how to enjoy their fireplaces safely and efficiently. See you on our next broadcast. Appreciate you joining me today.